Welcome to Game Day U Hoops. We have a packed show for you tonight covering all things Oklahoma hoops. We'll cover OU women's basketball, men's basketball, high school, and the OKC Thunder for you tonight. But I'm not doing it alone. My name is Tyler DeLuca, and I'm joined by Stone Weber, Madeline Hunter, and Melina Samir. Y'all ready to talk some hoops?
Let's do it.
Let's get it started.
Okay, well, let's not waste any more time then. It was a pink out in the LNC as the Texas Tech Lady Raiders rode into town. But folks, Chef Boy Aubrey was absolutely cooking. Aubrey Jones finished with her first double-double as a Sooner with 23 points and 11 rebounds. She wasn't the only one getting some love as the Sooners assisted on 27 of their 34 made field goals on the night. The Sooners would win 84-57 and would end the night tied with Texas at the top of the Big 12. Here's what head coach Jenny Baranczyk had to say after the game.
Yeah, I thought our movement was really great. They threw a lot of different looks at us. So for her to be able to find some people, it helps when Aubrey can shoot the way that she can, or, you know, on the interior, I thought we did a pretty good job. But yeah, that was fun.
Guys, this team is going to snowball for better or for worse, but when it's good, it's great. And it was great against Texas Tech.
Tyler, you're right. It simply was great. This team is on absolute fire right now. They made 11 threes on Tuesday and shot 42% from behind the arc. You touched on it. Aubrey Jones had a season high 23 points. This team is firing on all cylinders. They've won 6 in a row. And Madeline, I think they're the hottest team in the Big 12.
Oh, I agree, Stone. The Sooners looked dominant last night against Tech with Anna Yanusa and Liz Scott coming out of the gate on fire, starting a 12-0 lead in the first. And the ladies were able to extend that lead to as large as 28 points.
Yeah, that was amazing, but Oklahoma is locked in on their shooting, going 49% from the field and making 34 field goals. The Sooners are outplaying the Red Raiders, who are 33% in field goals. So they did an amazing job last night.
Yeah, and they'll look to keep that up because next up for the Sooners is a matchup in Lawrence against Tiana Jackson and Kansas. Jackson, who's arguably the best center in the conference, won Big 12 Player of the Week last week, but the Sooners held her to just 8 points earlier this season. Here's what Baranczyk had to say about her team's rebounding with the matchup looming.
I think she just has a knack for it, and I think we have a couple people that really do. I think Skylar's another one of those that just kind of has a knack for it. And I think, you know, in Anna, I think she moves her. I think Aubrey and Anna really add an element to our offense because they just keep moving. And so sometimes when you keep moving and you start playing with the ball, those loose balls or those rebounds kind of tend to find you and bounce your way. And so I think she has that.
We will have more from Jenny later in the show, but as things stand, the Sooners control their Big 12 championship destiny right now, but they cannot afford to slip up. Stone, what are you looking for in this game?
Biggest thing I'm looking for in this game, Tyler, keep shooting the ball well. This team showed once again why they are one of the best teams in the Big 12. They beat a team by almost 30 points, and that's not something that you normally see. The Sooners played complementary basketball. You touched on it. They recorded 27 assists compared to Tech only having 7. And on top of that, like I said earlier, they lit it up from behind the arc, shooting 43%. This team is firing on all cylinders at the perfect time.
You're right, Stone. I mean, they're so strong on the offense, but there's no doubt the Sooner ladies are weakest on the defensive end, ranking last defensively in the Big 12. But something clicked when the ladies took on Texas Tech last night, and they were able to hold the Raiders to only 57 points and 33.3% from the field. With the Big 12 tournament in the near future, this game is exactly what the Sooners needed to prove themselves defensively.
I agree with you, Stone and Madeline, but if you do not know her name now, you soon will. Beatrice Colton. The Overland, Kansas product had a big night against Texas Tech. As a freshman, she put up a career high of 10 assists, 4 points, and 4 rebounds for the Sooners. She is the only freshman center in the country to post a double-digit assist point, and in the last 14 seasons, while these numbers may be small, it made a big difference for OU in the end, and it's just beginning for BC.
Yeah, BC, she was great against Texas Tech. 10 assists as a center is insane. She didn't have a tough task on her hands with Tiana Jackson and Kansas, but I think that her and the Sooners will get it done and pick up the win against Kansas. Stone, what are you thinking?
I think they're going to pick up the win against Kansas as well. The sharp shooting and this hot style of play, the up-tempo offense is just going to be too much for the Jayhawks in Lawrence.
I got OU as well. I think they're going to have no trouble in their final 4 games of the season.
I agree. OU has been on a steep incline since the season started, and they're not stopping now. I have the Sooners taking the dub.
All right, well, no upsets predicted here, but we're going to switch it over to the men's sides and talk about their upset next on Gameday U. Hoops. Welcome back to Gameday U Hoops. Let's jump back into some hoops talk because the men's basketball team got their first Big 12 win in over a month on Tuesday. The Sooners welcomed in the 12th-ranked Kansas State Wildcats into Norman on Tuesday, and OU came into the game on a 7-game Big 12 losing streak. Time to turn it around was slipping, but against Kansas State, the dark and gloomy Big 12 clouds parted, but the threes rained down for the Sooners, shooting 47% from deep with a total of 11 makes. The Sooners were led to victory by Grant Sherfield, who dropped 22 points against K-State, but 3 other starters also found themselves in double figures. Here's what head coach Porter Moser had to say after the game.
Things have not gone our way. Things have not gone our way. You know, you hear stuff, and we talked about that. We talked about that outside, but in the 40 minutes it has gone our way. And we talked about being better when the ebbs and flows of the game doesn't go our way. I thought we were better when the ebbs and flows of the game didn't go our way tonight. And talk about still believing. Anything can happen. And so I know we need more than one win, but you needed one to start a streak.
Well, like Porter said there, they needed one, they got one. I mentioned the three-point shooting from the Sooners, but how about the three-point defense, holding K-State to just 4 for 20 from deep? That was a big part of why they got this win.
Yeah, Tyler, that was a huge part of this game, and I think one of the biggest things about OU so far, they've been critiqued heavily because they haven't been able to score the basketball, but in general this season, they've played great defense, and great defense can turn into great offense. They got some more consistency finally from Grant Sherfield. He dropped 22 points. Tyler touched on it. 3 other starters in double figures. It starts with the guys starting on the floor, and that opens up the room more for guys on the bench.
I mean, this win is exactly what the Sooners needed, but it has to be the starting point of a late season run if they want to make the tournament. Coming off a season low of 5 assists against Kansas, OU showed improvement assisting on 3 of its first 4 buckets, so hopefully they can continue this momentum going to the weekend.
I agree with you guys. OU was in a winning drought and looked like they were ready to throw in the towel for the season. But that wasn't the case against the Wildcats. The Sooners only had 11 turnovers and jumped up to get 25 defensive rebounds. If they can keep this up, they can probably turn the season around.
Yeah, I mean, Porter Moser talked about needing a streak, but it's going to be hard to do that because they're traveling to number 6 Texas for some Red River action. Listen to what Tanner Groves had to say about building off the K-State win.
Coach was done talking and we broke it up after that. My mind was already to the next one. I got to get ready for the next one. Where we're sitting at in terms of standings, where we're at in the season. We know that we need to pick up a couple more wins coming up, and so especially as being older guys, I think that our minds are already to the next one, and we're focused on trying to turn the page and keep going, man.
Well, let's just state the obvious here. Beating Texas on the road is not an easy ask, but frankly, a necessary one for OU. Anything can happen in a rivalry game. Stone, what is the key to this game for OU?
The key is very simple here. Play fast. The Sooners play a very simple brand of basketball. It is boring. In these clips you're going to see right now, this is what OU needs to do in order to beat Texas. They need to play with pace and play on the fast break. OU is ranked 281st in possessions per game, which is horrible, and that is from this style of play. This motion offense means that this team is not shooting the ball until their final 10 seconds of the shot clock. The Sooners played with a sense of urgency against the Wildcats, and that's what they're going to need to do against Texas if they want to win on the road at the Moody Center.
I agree, Stone. The offense looked completely stagnant in their matchup against Kansas as the team committed a season-high 24 turnovers. If OU wants a chance to take down the Longhorns, they need to limit these giveaways. Now, some improvement was made against Kansas State with only 11 turnovers, but they must continue to focus on controlling the ball this weekend against Texas.
I agree. All these inconsistencies is full of what this team is giving us. But they tend to surprise us, though, from time to time. Oklahoma can lose by 32 to an unranked team and then blow out number 1 Alabama and number 12 K-State with no problem. But as Stone and Madeline said, turnovers and shot clock violations are just a few of OU's mistakes. They need to get back to basics and correct these mistakes if they want a chance to make it to the big dance.
I mean, you're right. OU has surprised some teams along the way, but Texas only beat OU by 1 when they traveled here to Norman, so I don't think they're going to be caught off guard. I got Texas in this one.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one, Tyler. I have Texas as well. Texas is coming off of a tough, heartbreaking loss Monday night at another rival, Texas Tech. I think they're going to be ready to go on Saturday. I think it might be a bit of a blowout here for Porter Moser's squad.
I don't know. I'm going to be the odd woman out and take OU on this one. I'm counting on them to turn it around and ball out the rest of the season.
So I'm going to have to go with Tyler and Stone on this. I have Texas winning this matchup as well. Unless OU can get their head in the game and play to the caliber of the Longhorns, they don't stand a chance.
All right, well, Madeline is the only one with faith in this Sooner team right now, but let's see how they're feeling about the Oklahoma City Thunder next on Gameday U Hoops. Welcome back to Gameday U Hoops. We have talked about Oklahoma men's and women's, so let's dive into the OKC Thunder. And ladies and gentlemen, the youngest team in the NBA is growing up before our very eyes. We have reached the All-Star break, and the Thunder have 10 more wins than they did this time last year, which is good enough for the last play-in spot at 10th. While the rest of the team gets some rest, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be in action during the All-Star game this Sunday. Here is SGA on heading into the break with a win.
Yeah, super important. The race, we're aware of the race for the play-in and the playoff spots, and how thin the margin for error is. And every game we can get, we need, and we know that. It was a good thing we got this one.
Well, we know where the Thunder stand. Now let's see how they did this week. Stone, take it away.
OKC lost a close game Monday night, 103-100 to the Pelicans, and the reason why is very simple. They couldn't stop Brandon Ingram. The former Duke star was slicing through their defense like Swiss cheese. He had 34 points and shot 58% from the field. On the other side, the Thunder were shooting the ball great from downtown. They shot just 27% from three and turned it over 16 times. SGA had a quote-unquote off night. He only had 24. But in games like this, other guys need to step up if the Thunder want to make the playoffs.
Now I'm going to look at Wednesday night when the Thunder dubbed their second win against the Houston Rockets 133-96. The We Want Boban chant began in the start of the third quarter as OKC was up 42 points, their largest lead in any game this season. After the last two record-breaking wins for the Thunder, it's hard to believe the Rockets-Thunder series is tied 2-2.
Yeah, it's so insane, but I'm going to think about a week later, next Thursday. The Thunder is back in action, taking on the Utah Jazz for the first time this season at 8 p.m. OKC currently leads the series 112-86, and this will be the first game back following All-Star Weekend. Both teams feature All-Stars in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, you talked about that game in Utah. We'll be playing that. The Thunder will be playing there in Utah, but so will the All-Star game, and I can't wait to see SGA and see what he does in that game.
I think the All-Star game is going to be exciting, especially for young guys like SGA. I think, especially being in Utah, I don't know, it's a smaller area. I think this year's All-Star game.
Party city of Salt Lake City, man.
Right. I think it's going to
capital.
be a little electric, if you ask me.
I mean, the Thunder is headed to the All-Star break is one of the biggest surprises in the NBA as a 28-29 team, and I think they're in a great position for a possible playoff appearance.
I agree with you both. OKC can benefit from this week-long break and come back stronger to finish off the remaining 30% of the regular season. OKC could avoid the play-in and climb over the final stretch of the season.
All right, guys. Well, while the Thunder go on break, the high school season is hitting its climax. Brig Bates will be joining us next to update us on the Oklahoma high school scene, plus a one-on-one interview with Jenny Baranczyk. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back to Gameday U Hoops. We have talked OU and OKC, so let's move our way over to some high school basketball here in the state. I'm joined now by our high school hoops expert, the Double B, Brig Bates. Brig, what do you got for us?
Tyler, we have teams fighting for playoffs as the regular season comes to an end this week. First, we tip off at the Southwest Showdown as the Westmore Jaguars host the Southmore SaberCats. It's senior night, and the Westmore Jags are going to give it their all. Evan Barber didn't disappoint in this one as he knocks down the three for his 1,000th game-tying point. Threes were flying in this one as the Southmore SaberCats find a three of their own, but Southmore catches themselves down early in this one. They try out the full court press, but the Jags show excellent ball movement for the easy bucket. The SaberCats didn't back down, though, as Jesse Ledbetter drives to the hole for a tough and one, but it's not enough as Westmore shows who runs the town with a 73-52 win. And driving down the road across 35, the Moore Lions host the Mustang Broncos for a late-game thriller. Mustang is looking for playoff contention in this one. They start off hot, finding the deep ball for the three, but the Lions show their strength getting into the paint for a tough bucket. Lions looking to seal the game as they break the full court press for an easy dunk to take home the important win 63-59. In the regular season, for Oklahoma high school basketball only has one game left. Before we reach the playoffs, I'm super excited to catch games at the Big House and the home of the Sooners Lloyd Noble Center for some high school action. For the Oklahoma High School Boys Basketball Game of the Week, we've got Putnam City North Panthers at the Choctaw Yellow Jackets. In 6A Boys Basketball, the Panthers are 21-1, and the Yellow Jackets are only 16-6. The Yellow Jackets will look to sting the Panthers in the last game of the regular season, head into the playoffs. Tyler, who do you have in this one?
I mean, it's hard to bet against 21-1. I'll take the Putnam City North Panthers on that one. Thanks, Brig. And now pivoting back over to some OU women's hoops, I had the opportunity to sit down with head women's basketball coach Jenny Baranczyk earlier this week. Here's my exclusive convo with the Sooners head ball coach. Tyler DeLuca here at the OU practice gym, and I'm joined by OU head women's basketball coach Jenny Baranczyk. Jenny, thank you for taking the time with us. Today, this is the first time we've gotten to talk one-on-one so far this season. So just kind of generally, what type of growth have you seen from the team throughout this season? And as the Big 12 tournament nears, what more growth do you have to do?
Oh, gosh, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. But I love the way that this team has really come together. I think from a team standpoint, it's been really fun to be able to watch. And there's some data points in that in terms of our assists right now. Our assist numbers in every game have been absolutely incredible. Our scoring production, our point production, has really been balanced, so I think that part's been really fun. Defensively, we're really starting to kick it in, so that's something that we want to continue to improve on and continue to focus on, especially as we start to head into this Big 12 tournament time.
I don't think there's ever been quit in this team, but there's been times where stuff has snowballed. And this past couple weeks, especially that Baylor game, I think is the prime example of fighting back for the entire game. How is that also kind of a culture thing that you feel like has just kind of grown from this team this season?
Well, I think you're right, and we're a snowball effect type of a team. We're very, very connected, which is what makes us so great, and then when things aren't going well, not so great, right? And so that's where I feel like, and in that game that you just referenced, and there's a lot of points that we've had, really I think the last couple years, but when we're really focusing on in the moment right now, in February, I feel like a huge part of what we've been able to do is just focus on effort. We just want to work really hard, and it doesn't mean it always goes your way. But if you don't have that, you don't have a shot. So from our standpoint, I feel like that togetherness, that belief that we have, not just in ourselves, but what we have in the collective unit, when we have that and we can just roll up our sleeves and just work, we're a very, very good basketball team.
Thanks again to Jenny Baranczyk for taking the time. And speaking of time, we've got some time of our own to make some picks, so I hope you pick to stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to make some of our own. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Gameday U Hoops. We got a little bit of a lineup change here on the set. I'm now joined by Kaylee Jo Hummel, Jack Horan, and Will Stone Weber's still with us. I'm gonna let him go. Let's not waste any more time and dive right into some of our picks. It feels like almost every Big 12 men's game is a big one, and Kansas versus Baylor fits the bill. Kaylee Jo, who do you got?
I'm saying Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Right. The entire team has stepped up when they needed it most. When Jalen Wilson scored in the single digits, the rest of the team posted 86. As long as Wilson's on his A game, there's no way Kansas is taking a loss at home.
Kaylee, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. Baylor is one of the hottest teams in the country right now, and they are averaging 79 points a game. Look for Adam Flagler to be the X factor in this game. I have the Bears winning a close one in Lawrence.
Kaylee Jo, I'm going to agree with you on this one. Jalen Wilson is a Player of the Year candidate for a reason, and Kansas simply does not lose often at Allen Fieldhouse. I'm going with Kansas on this one. Rock Chalk.
Jack, I hate to pile up on you, but it's kind of hard to bet against Jalen Wilson. He's kind of
Yeah.
that guy. But sticking with the Big 12, Kansas State will be looking to bounce back from their loss we discussed earlier in the show against Oklahoma on Tuesday. Kaylee Jo, they gonna be able to do it?
I don't think so, Tyler. Ooh. I think the Cyclones are going to tear up in the Little Apple. I mean, both teams are struggling with Big 12 play. I think Iowa State is going to bring back its strong defense and prove themselves as they did against Kansas, Texas, and Kansas State.
Kaylee, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. K-State did not look good against OU, and that is saying something. Iowa State plays great defense, only giving up 61 points per game, and K-State is going to get clamped up. I like the Cyclones on the road.
Kansas State has lost 2 games in a row against Tech and Oklahoma, the 2 worst teams in the Big 12. They're not going to lose a 3rd game at home at the Bramlage Coliseum. I'm taking the Wildcats in this one.
All right, now over to the women's side. Let's go to a huge Big East matchup. UConn has been on the down lately, which is unheard of from UConn, but Villanova's Maddie Siegrist is building a National Player of the Year campaign. She's been incredible. Kaylee, Joe, will UConn stop Siegrist?
There's no way. Maddie is the most valuable player in the game right now for both the men and the women. Oof. She's averaging 29 points per game, and I think Villanova's looking for revenge. I say the Wildcats are going to upset the Huskies.
Villanova is hot, but I'm still rolling with the Huskies. AZ Fudd consistently puts pressure on the defense, and that is going to open the lanes for the whole offense. Give me UConn.
I agree, Jack. The tried and true. This is not the same Husky teams from years past. They may not be the same team, but I still think I'm picking UConn in this one.
Guys, I got to go with Maddie Siegrist. She's going to be a top 5 pick in this WNBA draft. She just dropped 50 points. She hasn't scored below 21 points the entire season. I don't know how you could pick against her, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. That's going to do it for us. Kaylee Joe Hummel, Jack Horan, and Stone Weber. I'm Tyler DeLuca, and we will see you next week on Game Day U Hoops.